Yo, what is up, friends? How are you guys doing? Moses here, and today I'm going to show you this wonderful game called Titan Quest. This is the anniversary edition, which includes all sorts of updates and changes, and of course also the expansion of the game, Immortal Throne. This is my first character in the game. I've never played this game before, so I'm a complete noob. So you should not do anything that I do over here right now. But having that said, I am level 43. We completed normal, and we are now somewhere around the end of Act 1 Nightmare. So we're over here in Greece. In this game you cross through Greece, Egypt, the Orient, Wall of China. It's beautiful. Hades, River Styx, you know, all these epic locations. You see some really epic battles. You know, you're being a part. It's like, it's a really exciting journey. If you never played this game before, strongly recommend it. It's actually quite awesome. I've been having a blast, and as I go through this video you'll probably recognize some elements from Grim Dawn if you've already watched it. Some of the team members of Grim Dawn, in fact, you know, of Titan Quest, in fact, made Grim Dawn a decade later. So this game is about 11 years old. It came out in about 2006 or so. And it's actually quite awesome. So let me introduce you my character. I made a Paladin. I called her Sazoma, which is a Moses. Whatever. So this Paladin, yeah, basically it's a caster that has defense skill. In this game you have 8 different type of masteries. I chose Storm and Defense as masteries. I thought that the idea of a tanky spellcaster is going to be super nice, deal a lot of damage with spells while having, you know, fuck ton of health and defensive stats and all sorts of stuff like that. So far it's been working quite okay, but again, we're only in the 2nd difficulty. I'm just here to show you this character and the way that I've progressed. I've been playing this game for about a week, yeah, since I started for the first time. So yeah, let's go through the Storm Mastery. My main spell, as you probably watched on stream as well, it's this Ice Shard, right? It's a very fast attacking and mana draining, you know, Cone of Coals spell. You throw these ice shards, it shreds through enemies. It has a 60% chance to pierce. It fires 5 projectiles, chance to pierce, projectile speed, and a number of projectiles, 5, are all coming from these added modifiers to the skill. You start out with, you know, just a normal ice shard, but then you add velocity, which adds cold damage, increases projectile speed, and adds 60% chance to pierce. And then you go through Torrent, which adds frostburn damage over time, which is basically dot damage to your frost hit. So it adds more cold damage over time. So this is my main spell. That's how I do damage. Other than that, I did distribute some other points on other skills. I have a Wisp over here. Wisp is really nice. It's standing over here and it accompanies me wherever I go. It's this little light furry ball of, you know, glory. And this Wisp has an active skill that procs very often, so it's almost always up. It's a duration buff of 46 seconds that allows me to have 100% more elemental damage, which, you know, I'm doing cold damage, elemental, so 100% more damage, pretty OP. And then cold and light res for 46 seconds. So right now, you know, I'm gonna be getting cold and extra light. Right now the buff is not active, of course, but when it is, 80 is the max resist in this game, so I'm gonna be getting 35 more, so it's gonna put me in a pretty decent light spot, and cold is already going to be maxed. So very nice little thing. A lot of damage it adds to my attacks. Its actual damage is pretty low, and if you look closely you'll see it has a chance to dodge attacks, 99% to dodge and avoid projectiles, so it hardly ever gets hit. If it does get hit, it usually just insta-dies or getting two-shotted, but yeah, you just resummon it, and it's just like active. It's there all the time, the Wisp. So just 1 point over here, and the rest to just max out the elemental damage. Another buff that I have is Storm Nimbus, which imbues my weapon, allows my weapon to have some cold and lightning damage, but that is not really relevant. What is relevant is the Heart of the Frost, or Heart of Frost, which allows me to deal 52% cold damage and frostburn damage as well, and also slows monsters and movement retaliation. This does work with spells, so you imbue your weapon, but you only need to put 1 point over here to unlock this. But in fact, Heart of Frost also works on your spells, and it's very noticeable. Again, this is Storm Nimbus is a active buff. It reserves certain mana. You can see right here it says entirely sure, and 75 energy reserved right here. So just like in Path of Exile, you got all these energy reserved. By the way, this is before Path of Exile, so reserving for this kind of mechanic. Not that it matters, but was here in this game before PoE. But yeah, either way, you reserve some mana, you get the buff, pretty standard stuff. Another buff I have over here is, this is an active buff, right? It reserves 150 energy, but it has a chance to proc. Basically, Storm Surge, whenever I'm getting surrounded sometimes by enemies, or some enemies are around me and I people throw projectiles at me, some arrows and whatnot, it has always, whenever I'm getting hit, it has 15% chance to be activated, which is pretty high, and it's an AoE stun. It's like a circle of storm around me, and you'll be able to see it, and then monsters just basically get stunned for a second and a half, which is pretty neat. So that's another buff that I have on, and this is basically it on the Storm Mastery right now. So I'm focusing on cold. There are other spells here that I didn't go through. We're not going to introduce it in the entire tree, just to show what my character is currently doing right now. There are other ways, of course. We're only level 43. The level max level, I believe, is like maybe 75 or 80. I don't know if I'll reach there, but there's definitely other ways to develop within these two trees in the future. When it comes to Defense Mastery, I maxed out Defense Mastery. Of course, I maxed out Storm Mastery as well. It gives you a lot of health, energy, dexterity, intelligence. This is the main source of stat points for your character, so it's very important to max these out, both in Defense and Storm Mastery. In Defense, it just gives you a lot of health, strength, and dex, as you can see. Yeah, so strength and dex allows you to equip gear. Alright, so in defensive, what I have over here is armor handling, which gives me 16% armor absorption additional, and strength requirement for shield, strength requirement for chest pieces, for armor pieces, for helm pieces, are all reduced by 20%. So I don't need to distribute that many points into strength. I could put them in health and other spots as well. So armor handling, I decided to put 6 points over here. Over here, battle awareness, focus, and iron will. Battle awareness is again an active buff that reserves mana. Over here you can see, you can cast it once in a couple of seconds. Boom. So it reserves a little bit of mana, and what it does is very little things for a caster. These two, shield block, some defensive ability, some armor. But the really important part, the reason why I use this buff, is because the third modifier for this spell or skill aura is actually an extreme CC reduction Iron Will passive skill. So as long as you have the buff active, which is 100% of the time, because it just reserves mana, you're able to get an F-ton of CC reduction of all sorts. Freeze, entrapment, stun, sleep, all that stuff. And it's really important. Really important to reduce all these durations. And that's kind of like what I had in mind when I made this character. I wanted to get a tank here. A character that is able to get damage, but also able to deliver a lot of damage to their enemies. So yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the tree. One last thing you've probably seen, this is Colossus Form. Colossus Form allows you to become a giant. So basically it's like Wrath of the Berserker from Diablo 3. Only everybody can use it, because you could be a caster and use freaking Colossus Form. What it gives you is physical damage, which is irrelevant to me, but 50% more health, 50% more strength, and 50% damage absorption. So damage reduction 50%, and a small debuff of total speed. Total speed is attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed, minus 15. But since you're huge, your movement speed, it's irrelevant. Because you're huge, so you're making these huge steps, so you're faster anyways. And when it comes to the cast speed, minus 15% is not such a big deal, because I happen to have 213, so it's almost unnoticeable at all. But for bosses and for big targets, this is a 360-second cooldown, so 6-minute cooldown, so you can't just spam it, but when you do, it lasts for 24 seconds. And it is a very, very powerful to add you a huge portion of health and damage reduction, making a lot of the bosses just a lot easier to handle. So yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to the gear changes all the time, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. I got some cold damage, frostburn damage, which is the damage over time. I got the same stuff here on the shield, some health, some cold res. But again, we're talking like early game right now, so I'm only in the like Act 1 in the second difficulty, so it's going to take a while to get to my final form, so pieces are always changing. One thing to note, in this game you have artifacts, which are I mean, it's like a crafting recipe. You craft it with a bunch of little things that you find in the game. Here and there, monsters, they drop it, and you have these. Yeah, and you have these recipes. You can get these relics or these charms. There's a bunch of them, and they're different in Nightmare, Normal, and Hell. So it's kind of a complex system. It makes stuff a little bit uneasy sometimes, but you can create these really powerful items that can give you all sorts of irrelevant gear. Like, it's not an actual. It is a gear slot, but it's not like a torso. It's a unique type of item slot that I haven't seen in any type of other game. It's these artifacts that gives you additional bonuses, and you need to craft them. And there are more and more powerful artifacts. Of course, I crafted this one. I got really lucky. Got it earlier with at around level 15 or so. Very early game. I believe it was Act 1 or 2 in normal difficulty. I got this casting speed and energy cost reduction, which is like huge for a caster. At the beginning it was a huge upgrade for me, and it still is. I mean, I don't have any other one until now, so it works out pretty nicely. I got some nice amulet with casting speed and elemental damage. 83, it's kind of huge as well. Elemental damage, resistances, so a lot of life resistances. This is my first unique of the game, or legendary of the game, and it's pretty sick. It's got a lot of resistances and health regen. Yeah, so just showing off these items so you could see the type of stats you can have on an item in this video. That's pretty much it. Let's go and kill a couple of things just so you could see what's going on. So we're basically just yeah, outside of Colossus here, and there's all sorts of cat ladies, and we're destroying them. Cat ladies and harpies, and yeah. Maybe I could have. Oh, there's a diseased plumage. So another one of these artifacts that you can just like pick up. I really like the the physics of the game. Everything looks very like realistic, and yeah, pretty cool stuff. So let's do it. Let's do it. You guys are ready? Colossus Form. So now we're huge, and we don't even care. We take so much like less damage, and we got a lot of HP pool. This lasts 24 seconds. So, whoa, dude, the movement speed. Whoa. Of course, it's gonna expire any second now. We're gonna be like, oh no, we're tiny again. So, yeah. Anyways, maybe I could have chosen a better site for the video, for sightseeing purposes. But this is where I am in the game right now. So at the end of the Act 1, it's Greece, and then we're going to travel to Egypt, pyramids, and all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. This is my character. I hope I gave you a little bit of insight of how things work out in this game a little bit. Don't choose mastery of defense with Storm. I think it's, I believe I can make it work into endgame, but I think there are better things to choose. I believe there are better things to choose. This is just like my first character, and I just tried it. I didn't do any research, just jump to it, and that's kind of like what came out. And it's working out, and it's fun, but I don't know if I recommend playing it. Storm is definitely awesome, but maybe something else with it. I still don't know. There are like 6 other different skulls of like masteries you could go for, and you can combine and mix and match, and different type of builds, and it's very interesting. Give it a shot. I think it's also on sale right now. You can find it pretty cheap. I think it goes on for about $4 or something, $3. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching, and I hope to see you guys on stream. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.